Hi guys, welcome back to VALORANT News with FNATIC breaking their losing streak and picking up their first victory of the regular VCT season. Lots of reaction though to a rather difficult victory against Gen.G, not considered to be one of the better teams in the EMEA side. Many sources suggesting that maybe FNATIC needs some sort of a change. Even Sentinels Curry, who thought that he might be playing for Sentinels with the Gen.G visa stuff, reckons that a role change with Derke and Alpha might be necessary to get them back to form, with Derke continually underperforming as it stands on the duelist role. Very much intrigued to your thoughts in the comment section below. Hit the like button if you enjoy. Subscribe if you're new as always, I'd greatly appreciate it. Cool to see Shazam on the stream, it seems, on the desk at least, for this weekend's VCT games. We also had this yesterday. So tickets for the group stage of Masters Shanghai were sold out immediately. Now, I think, look, we're growing as a scene. It's progress is being made. Last year was the first year of franchising. This year was the second year of franchising, partnership league, whatever you want to say. So it makes sense that things aren't going to be where maybe they will eventually be immediately, but it's still worthy to say that, sure, they've got a big arena, the Mercedes-Benz Arena, whatever it's going to be for the playoffs, but for the group stages, it's just being run in a small studio, really, where I guess the other stuff happens, where it can hold up to 400 people. So, you know, for the group stages, which are very important on this level, I think really there should be more people there, at least as far as I'm concerned. But no, that's what they're going to do for now. Of course, yeah, the playoffs is going to be mega, but apparently all of these 400 tickets were sold out in literally seconds. Like, as soon as they went on sale, they were just gone. And, you know, as this, individual on Weibo says, all tickets for the 10-day event were filled within a second. It's just too hard to get these tickets. So, yeah, that just goes to show the interest that there is, but arguably that they should maybe take some steps up in future seasons. Now, let's talk about some of these games, because yesterday, couple of big games, of course, in the Challenger side. MAT continue their undefeated streak so far, not just even in terms of series, but in terms of maps as well. They 2-0'd Winthrop Gaming yesterday. They 13-1 them on the Sunset, and then it was 13-11 on the Lotus. And actually, the reaction here from MAT was like, damn, that was too close for comfort, right? They want to be like what FNATIC were last season, when they were just crushing teams, restricting teams to less than 5 round wins every single map that they would ever play. And yeah, that is the plan for MAT. And okay, fair play for Winthrop University putting some rounds together, but I'm sure MAT, after going up 6-0, they would have rather liked to never have been down in a map, but they were, and that's what Xander says. Easy map 1. We tried to end it way too quickly on map 2 and played very sloppy. This is something that we're going to learn for the future games. So that's always the thing. When you're as good as MAT are, when you're that dominant, you've always got to recognize that some level of complacency or trying a bit too hard to win can affect your team potentially. So they're going to try and dial that out of their gameplay. QOR played Thinking Men as well. They got the 2-0 dub here. It was 13-11 on the Ascent and 13-11 on the Sunset. So brutal way for Thinking Men to go out with 2 13-11 losses. But they do seem to be making some progress at this point. And the reality is that wherever you are in these respective groups, Thinking Men are 0-4. Still, they haven't really lost that many rounds compared to the rounds that they've won. Like, their round win-loss isn't actually tragic, but it's just they haven't put together enough, you know, map wins yet to be competitive. And yeah, they're not looking great. But then again, does it really matter anyway? Because, like, you're not going to beat these top boys, and that's how it stands. But let's get into the EMEA region, right? Because lots of big games going down here over the last couple of days. We've said how competitive this region seems to be at the moment. And this was Alpha's reaction the other day when they lost that series, and they were needing to bounce back last night. Now, Carmine Corp, they played Gentle Mate. This was a comfortable one for KC, so they're back on their BS, it seems. Narrate had a great series. Tomasi, like, this is kind of what you expect to see, I think, against these respective competitions. 13-6, 13-6, was it? Yeah, on the Icebox as well. So very impressive from KC. They bounced back well to put themselves up because they lost the other day to FUT Esports, but now they're back in business. Now, of course, they 2-0'd Gen.G, the first game that they played in, you know, it was 13-4, 13-9. So Gen.G not looking great so far, and they did lose yesterday, but it's got to be said, they didn't lose in an absolutely emphatic fashion. And this is when the questions arrive to FNATIC yet again. Sure, they are not the same team that they were last year for some time, and for all the talk from Boaster, obviously, during, let's say after Masters Madrid, when he said, yeah, doesn't really think the level at Madrid was that high, believes FNATIC would have beaten all those guys, and then goes through to lose to one of the teams that didn't even make the playoffs, was obviously rather entertaining, and that's why Zeltis was clowning on them at the time. So, yeah, this was game 1 here. At this point, we have the Sentinels thing on the wall that Zeltis is obviously very happy for. The FNATIC guys all of a sudden were supporting them, and we can see from Boaster here that, yeah, the aim labs is working. We know that Boaster talked about grinding the aim labs, working with an aim coach to get to the next level. It's interesting how it's worked, isn't it? Just because, you know, Boaster's thought process was, the team is fantastic. If I can just get a couple more kills by shooting straighter, hire an aim coach and all these other factors, then I'm going to be in a great spot and we're going to win everything. But as it's turned out, Boaster, sure, he's actually aiming pretty well nowadays. He's kind of frying, but the team isn't delivering the same individual performances that might be expected. So they do go on to win the series, Fnatic. They take it 2-1. We'll see the details in a second. The streak has been broken. The Brimstone was kind of clean, though, says Boaster. So, yeah, fair play. They got the win. And Vanity's like, yeah, not trying to overact, but Fnatic is back to save the EMEA side. And even Nuki says from Gen.G, please pick up, because maybe they need this guy on their roster if they want to turn things around, because they weren't exactly in the best position. However, I'll share this clip here from Curry watching the series as it goes to the final game, just observing the way that their players have been performing, because it wasn't that long ago that, with the exception of Boaster, basically everybody on Fnatic at any point would have an unbelievable series and would single-handedly win the team the game. And often there was more than one of them doing it, and they were entirely unbeatable at that point. That is not the case nowadays, especially I would say for Derke, who has been a phenomenal player for some time, and clearly the talent is still there, but he's not right now executing as he would like to be.
You know what? If Fnatic win this game, I think people should really be pushing for Fnatic to play Alpha on Duelist and put maybe Derke on Sentinel. I'm not even kidding. I know it's early game still. Derke's a great duelist, but I think Alpha could be a better duelist. And if they put Derke on Sentinel, like, Sentinel's not a hard role to play. Like, Derke can play Sentinel. Alpha obviously is a better Sentinel, but dude, like, who would be a better duelist for this team? Like, honestly, a lot of that. I feel like Fnatic are struggling a lot when it comes to Derke playing duelist. Their team, I don't know if it's like a team ideology or team whatever it is. He has not been playing duelist well. And that's not some rocket science. I'm sure he would admit that too. So if you put maybe on Alpha and Duelist, maybe it changes it up a little bit. Maybe he adds what they need as a Duelist player. Oh, you don't need to replace Derke. Derke is still really good. You can just switch up the role.
So as Derke says, good game for us. You learn and improve most from playing on the stage. Yoro debut, though, didn't go so well. Happy with the team's performance. Everyone had good energy today. But if we look at the overall series, I mean, sure, game 1 on the bind, 13-5 on Gen.G's pick. Fair play. But the breeze, Fnatic's pick, let's not forget. They kind of get crushed here, right? Derke goes 5-16 on the Yoro, not ideal, while Fatinho on the other side kind of dominates. So this was, to me, the map that tells, because if this map never happens, and it was just 7 on the split in the end, yeah. If it was just bind and split, and it was 13-5, 13-7, it's like, okay, yeah, that's what you'd probably expect in this series, because that's basically what Karmine Corp did to this team the other day. But just the existence of the Breeze, the Fnatic pick here, and I don't think Breeze is a great map. I'd like to see it gone for the map pool again, I think, personally. But, to go in here, starting on the attacking side, letting Gen.G go 5-1 on their attacking side, and then, not basically getting any rounds for the first several on their own pick was, you'd never see scoreboards like this from Fnatic last year. Like, it just wouldn't happen. I still think Leo's great. Alpha's still great, obviously. And that's the question that Curry raises as to whether a role changes the way to go, because I know people have said, and I totally get this perspective as well, that if Fnatic fail to improve substantially, what do, right? Like, what actually is the change to be made? Do you have to make a roster change at some point to get the team back to where they belong? And, of the recent performances, you got to say that given his role, Derke has not been great. Let's be real. I mean, I guess we can look at his page here. Let's say last 30 days. These are Derke's numbers. His rating on the agents that he's ran, 0.95 rating on the Jet. Okay, he's only used it once. So we're not talking many games here. Even last 60 days, I'm sure we'll see a relatively similar trends. And his raise has been very underwhelming when he has ran it. So I think there is a good argument to say, and let me just make sure it's fully on screen, that Alpha, as Curry says, maybe it's time to put him on this role, because in terms of impact from a duelist player, you need it. You need good impact from your duelist. Derke right now isn't really delivering that. Chronicle is still, fine, and Leo is still very good, I think, as is Alpha, but I think the regression of one player that is most notable is Derke, and maybe, you're not going to drop Derke. I don't think that makes sense, but maybe as a preliminary to something like that, if you really want to try and be the best team in the world again, because right now, based on their results, O2 versus KC, of course, at the playoffs of the kickoff, and then O2 versus Heretics to start off their season, and then 2-1 versus Gen.G. It's not exactly been setting the world on fire. And therefore, Curry thinks that maybe Alpha on that role, put Derke on the Sentinel, which is not exactly necessarily a hard role to run, could be the way to go as well. And Alpha would be able to get more impact out of, let's say, the Raze or whatever, which I wouldn't disagree with the way that things are currently going. So very much interested in your thoughts on all this stuff in the comment section below, how things will progress going forward. Even Zelda says, I think the best teams are a Brotherhood, talking about Sentinel success, and they play very shortly indeed. However, for the Americas, we do have this. So Sen play Lev, actually actually tonight, isn't it? Which is, this is going to be a really interesting series. Liv, on paper, at least in their practice over the last couple of weeks, we don't think it's been going that well. And Sentinels, being Sentinels, are going to be the favourites for this series, right? But so Sen Liv is very interesting because Liv started off 0-1 already. They lost to Cloud9. So if Liv starts off 0-2, that really is a rough start to the season for them, given their next game is against NRG, and that's also far from easy, right, for Leviathan. And then G2 versus 100T. This, again, is one of those, like, it's almost a must-win for 100T, not quite, but just like G2 looked really good against EG last week, and 100T lost to Sentinels. So it's like, if you're 100T and you want to be a real contender, you've got to win series like this, because they play Cloud9 next, and then after that they play Crew, so maybe it gets slightly easier. But yeah, 2 big series in the Americas this evening. Very much intrigued to your thoughts on all this stuff in the comment section below. Hit the like button if you enjoyed, subscribe if you're new, take care, and I'll see you next time.